Hey, I posted something on Facebook the other day about some ridiculous dates that I had been on, and one of my sweet little friends was like, please bring back the videos. Nobody wants this. I was going to be like, back by popular demand. There was no popular demand. There was one person. But I don't really have a lot of other things to do. And currently my son is in the living room playing video games with his friends super loudly. So I'm escaping in here and doing this and wearing a hat because it blends into the wall. So it's not as fun as I thought it would be. But also it's like 40 degrees outside and it's dumb. So yeah, today we are going to talk about, he doesn't really have an official nickname. So the one that I gave him the other day was TinyHands McRape Fantasy, which is, it's a really long nickname. And I feel like that should not make this next part a surprise, that there is sort of like a necessary warning. This particular date does not end badly for me, but the subject of ridiculousness and idiot asshole men will get interesting. And I guess you can kind of infer that from his nickname. Anyway, I had to watch like the videos that I posted like a year ago when I was doing these to make sure I hadn't talked about this guy already, and it kind of made me miss my braces. But not that much. And also, before I get into that part, since sometimes I do like eat food on these, I feel like I can talk about food now. And I just want to let you know that I had those cotton candy green grapes today. Like, I bought them because they were there, and I was like, well, of course I would love to spend $6 for a very small container of grapes. And so I tried them, and they taste like all of the fucking other green grapes I've ever had. So I'm sure that somewhere there's like some like Instagram influencers or something who were like, yep, we did that. We told people this food was different and exciting, and in fact it is not. But we got a bunch of people to spend a ridiculous amount of money on fucking grapes, which luckily for the grapes are delicious anyway. So yeah, TinyHands McRape Fantasy. He was, I gotta give him a different name. I can't say that over and over. We'll just call him TinyHands. So I don't remember, it was a dating app thing. I don't remember which one. Again, they're all essentially the same, except that there is a disproportionate number of men holding fish in their photos in one of them. Just because it's in the name doesn't mean it's, you're doing it wrong. Anyway, so all of his pictures were kind of blurry or like out of focus, except for one. And he had a beard and shaggy hair, and I'm not going to say that's not a thing for me. It's what it is. So I was like, all right, cool. He decided that we should meet up at Old Nick's Pub, which is in, or at least very near to, the Whitaker. No, that's in the Whitaker. Yeah, it's for sure in the Whitaker. Which, if you've been following along this whole time, which why? You must find something else to do with your time. Is where all of the bad dates are that I have been on. Not all, but all of the ones I've had in the Whitaker have not resulted in a second date and have mostly been terrible. So anyway, we went to Old Nick's Pub, which I had been to maybe one other time. Is kind of not in the main area. No, the fuck is that? Yeah, it's like, I don't know where it is. I have the worst directional sense in the world. It's somewhere I feel like it's just in like an area that's just dark all the time. And it's probably because I've only been there at night. But in my mind, dark all the time because it's shady. Strange. Even though during Christmas time, they play the Muppets Christmas Carol and they put the closed captioning on and do it as a sing-along. So that is redeemed Old Nick's Pub in my head. It's definitely, the problem is not at all with the bar. It's a lovely establishment. It just, again, this was like maybe my second time there. And I was by myself because we were meeting there. And I have a lot of anxiety just as a human. So, and he was late, like 15 minutes late, which I am also late for everything ever. Because of that aforementioned anxiety, I can't be early. I don't know. Something in my brain tells me that if I am early, people will be mad. So I subconsciously am about 5 minutes late all the time because my brain won't let me get places early. I'm working on that one. I think it was like 5 minutes early the other day somewhere. Look at me go, growing as a person. Anyway, so he was like 15 minutes late, which in single lady at a somewhat shady bar time is like an hour. So I'm sitting at the bar by myself. Somebody else starts talking to me. He seemed pleasant enough. I'm talking back. Whatevs. Dude comes in, and it was one of those moments that happen to everybody when they engage in online dating, where you see somebody and you're like, oh, interesting choice of pictures. Yeah, not, like, all right, you do what you gotta do, I guess. So, he was, as per the usual, shorter than me, and he had super small hands, just super small, like, just small. And as you've probably seen by my constant flailing about, I do not. And it probably was just made like that much more noticeable. Now you're gonna have my hands just all the time. It was probably made that much more noticeable by the fact that his head was disproportionately large for his body, like bobblehead proportions. Just a big old noggin, tiny little hands. So yeah, that was how that started. And he kind of got a little upset that I was talking to somebody else, and I was like, no, this guy just sat down, and like, I'm not sitting in his lap or anything. He's drinking a beer, I'm drinking a beer, we're drinking beers near each other. I had nothing else to do. But whatever. So he joined in, starts talking. It was a little odd. But whatevs. Lots of people are awkward. I'm awkward as fuck. Like, I'm awkward right now, and I'm not even talking to anybody, really, and I'm still fucking weird. So I'm not judging you for awkwardness. That's fine. I will judge you for all kinds of other shit, though. So it turns out the reason that he had picked this particular bar was because his friends that he hadn't seen in 15 years that were in some shitty punk band from California were playing there. And so they came in like 15 minutes later, and he just started talking to them. So like immediately just like turned and moved away and was like, I'm gonna hang out with my friends. All right. He would turn back around every once in a while and like talk. And then when his friends did go up and like start getting their shit ready to put on the stage and all that shit, like he had to come back and talk to me. And my other new friend that I was talking to, because why the fuck not? Like, whatever. So, at some point, the three of us are all talking, and TinyHands, first off, tells us that he spent a year being a hobo. I have so many problems with this. First of all, maybe that's not the word that we use. I don't know. I don't know what the correct word is. I'm fairly certain it's not hobo. And I'm not saying I've never used that word, but we learn and we grow. We don't call people hobos. But like, he did this voluntarily. He was not forced into this. He was like, you know, I think that I'm going to quit my job and ride the rails for like a year just to get the experience. Go fuck yourself, sir. Like, you intentionally entered, like, what kind of white privileged hipster bullshit is this? Where you feel like you need to purposely enter poverty for the fucking experience. Like, stop watching Into the Wild. Stop daydreaming about being a super tramp. Oh my God, just stop. Side note, I really hate that movie, Into the Wild. Only partially because the entire soundtrack is done by Eddie Vedder, and Eddie Vedder is awful. I'm sure he's a lovely human being. I don't know him, but his voice makes... Anyway, it does that, but like in my brain. So anyway, he's telling us about how he spent a year living it up with people on empty railroad cars, and made some friends here in our city doing that. And so he was telling us about how he was visiting these friends one time and was eating chicken wings. And, excuse me, sorry. Too many grapes. He went down to visit his friend, hanging out, eating a bunch of chicken wings. He had like a styrofoam to-go box from somewhere that he had gotten these wings. And he was like eating them and putting the bones like in the other half of the box. And this woman, who also lived in this encampment, came up and was, I think she asked, but she was taking all of the bones and like eating the little tiny bits of meat that had been in his mouth off of them. And he found this just weird. I don't know. When you're very hungry and you're not out there by choice, maybe you're driven to do some odd things that are not social norms for everybody else. I don't know this woman. So then he continues to tell us that. So she eats the chicken, and then she just walks into the middle of the street, pulls down her pants, and pees in the street. I'm like, also maybe not a choice I would make, but that's just me. I have a thing with peeing outdoors just in general. But what else? But what he said next was how he earns the second half of his nickname. And that is that his reaction to it was, yeah, she just pulled down her pants and peed in the street. And like, I could have gone up and raped her, but I didn't. What? What the fucking what? Like, what? First of all, she is using the okay, she's not using a bathroom, but she is performing bodily functions right now. What? Second of all, like the way he said it was like he needed some sort of like validation for a job well done, not raping someone. Like, I shouldn't have to award anybody for that, because we should all just be expected all day, every day, to not rape people. That's how being part of a society works, is that we just don't do that, and we don't think about doing it, and then we just exist. What the fuck, man? So, this guy was fucking weird. And I think at that point I had already gone into the bathroom and texted my friend and was like, is the dumbest date I've ever been on. It's not the worst. It's still not the worst. But it's definitely one of the dumbest, for sure. It wasn't like I need you to come get me or fake a phone call or anything like that, because I wasn't at all like worried about this guy. Again, super tiny hands. Like, are you fucking kidding me? I could crush you, sir. That was to his hand, not like his head or anything. Yeah, that would take both hands. Thing was massive. But I like wasn't worried physically about this guy. But I just, I don't understand the mindset that goes, like, there has never been a time when I've seen somebody urinating or seen somebody without their pants on or seen somebody ever doing anything anywhere and thought to myself, I could rape that person. That's not a normal thing to think at all. Not even a little bit. And it's a hella weird thing to fucking tell strangers, one of whom you were on a date with. What? So, yeah, random new friend and I were like, cool. And then he went back to like waiting for his friends to be done playing their super shitty set. And I don't actually remember anything about the music. I just assume it was shitty because they were friends with that guy. But yeah, it was real dumb. So this is like the PSA part of my video for today. And if you've had your fill and you would like to not be part of the more serious part, that's fine. Again, this was not my worst date. I can think of 3 off the top of my head that were far worse. And that is some fucking bullshit. So I just want to say, first of all, that if you are someone who has been assaulted or has been put in a situation or you worried that you could be, or anything in that realm, it's not your fault. I have spent a lot of my younger years questioning and blaming myself for putting myself in dumbass situations, because I do. Because I go throughout life with this weird attitude, as like cranky and ridiculous as I am. Sometimes I also just want to love everyone. And so I assume the best in people, or assume that I can find something to, love about them and give them the benefit of the doubt so many more times than I should sometimes. And in doing that, sometimes put myself in just dumb situations. And so I always told myself that is why those worst dates have happened, why those worst things have happened to me, because of my lack of boundaries, and my inability to like hold to my own rules. And that's not it. No. It's not your fault. It's not, the only person whose fault it is the person who chose to engage in that behavior. The person who assaulted, the person who did those things, it was their fault. It was nobody else's. I also do believe that having healthy boundaries is definitely important. And I personally don't want to ever lose the part of myself that does want to love the whole fucking world and also make fun of them a lot. Love is tricky. I don't know. I'm not willing to lose that, especially because of these D-bags. But having healthy boundaries and realizing that loving somebody doesn't mean that you tolerate their awful behavior, super important. However, to those people, like, who do, and women are not always the victims. There's lots of men that are victims, and this is just as important for them. But we know that due to the statistics, overwhelmingly men are the perpetrators. And so men, I absolutely invite you to be better. Like, not just a little bit better. Don't just be like, I guess I won't rape anybody today. Reschedule that. No. Be a whole lot fucking better. Like, actively better. Call out your friends. Be supportive. Believe victims. Go out of your way to make it known that you are not a douchebag. It's super important. Not just for people who are out there going on dates and weird bars. Just as a human, like, on the planet. Don't be a dick. And don't let your friends be a dick. Whatever. Yeah. So that is my story about Tiny Hands and his weird chicken. I don't know, it really wasn't about chicken at all. It's also just chicken bones. Like, when you eat chicken wings and stuff and you have a little bone, that was gross. Chicken wings are delicious, but, like, the byproduct of chicken wings is gross. All right, well, I hope that you enjoyed that. I don't know if this is something anybody's gonna enjoy. That's a weird thing. My hat and I are gonna go take a walk, so I'll see you later.